Hello there, boys and girls. What Culture Wrestling's Adam Clery here, and this week we answer the age-old question of when is a takeover not a takeover? Yes, that's right. This should all have been well in the world instead of that being NXT's showpiece event of the year. I know they don't have like their own WrestleMania, but the takeover that normally goes in front of it is usually where they pull out all the stops. And we got a tiny little sniff of it last week. We got a big old chunk of it to the face this week, and one way or another, this was it. Now, before we start, just a little bit of housekeeping. Jordan Devlin, he's gone and lost the Cruiserweight Championship, but not because of anything that happened on this show. They just decided that since he couldn't defend it because he was stuck in the UK, they were just going to strip him of it and have a little tournament. That starts next week, we think. As for Pete Dunne, who is one half of the Tag Team Champions, no word on that yet, but surely if it's fair, he'll be next. But on top of all of that, I think we're probably in the position now where we can stop giving everything the benefit of the doubt. Like, yeah, of course, under the circumstances, I've been saying loads of different things over the last couple of weeks, but if WWE are insistent on pushing forward with all of these shows, then that little chunk of kindness I've been offering them, those extenuating circumstances, are going to go yeets right off this sofa. Sorry. So, with all that in mind, here it is, NXT Fakeover Tampa Bay. We're getting the women's 6-person ladder match, which I'm very excited for, and we're getting Gargano versus Ciampa a Million, which people are not very excited for. But with all that in mind, my name is Adam Clery, hashtag on Thursdays, we wear yellow, and these are all the ups and downs from this week's episode of NXT. Alright, so we start in the place I've actually been starting quite a lot lately. Through no fault of its own, NXT has had a bit of a house show feel over the past couple of weeks. All the main events have been a bit wishy-washy. Nothing's really happening, and there's the empty arena thing, and yada yada, etc, etc. That's not their fault, but one thing which does feel like a decision on their part has been the commentary. We've had Tom Phillips doing his absolute best in the circumstances, and that first week with Triple H was really good. That second week with Byron Saxton was not, and last week with Sam Roberts was also very much not. So to get Mauro, of all people, opening the show felt like a lovely little delicious slice of normality in amongst everything else that's going on. Chris, I've sat in the wrong place. I also can't think of fewer jobs in this industry I would like to do less than single-handedly helming the commentary for an entire 2-hour live broadcast, sort of, when I'm normally on a panel of 3. And I totally get why he probably hasn't been around during all of this, but now that he's back, that's good. It felt like a big show and a big night, because he's a big commentator with a big voice and big turns of phrase, even though I do normally make fun of him. Still, it was nice. Up to the actual wrestling now, and the women's 6-person ladder match to determine the number 1 contender for the NXT Women's Championship. And if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. If you are a wrestler in any other division in WWE, you should be embarrassed by how good the lasses are on this show. This was a contest that directly linked to the NXT Women's Championship, right? In which A, the current champion Charlotte Flair wasn't involved, in which B, the most recent former champion Rhea Ripley wasn't involved, in which C, everybody's pick to be the number 1 contender Bianca Belair wasn't involved, and in which D, recent high-profile acquisitions like Shotzi Blackheart and Mercedes Martinez weren't involved either. Can you imagine doing that in any other division, taking those elements out of it, and it's still being this good and this stacked? That's the champion, 2 top challengers, and 2 of the recent debutants out of anything, and put a 6-person match together. It would be a mess, nobody would care about it, and this was class. Every single person in it approached it like it was a genuine takeover spectacle and not just some empty arena thing they needed to get through for the sake of saving everybody's blushes. The spots were amazing. Everybody took a really big bump at some point, all quite well paced out across the course of the match. But I don't know if this kept happening during the adverts, but so many times a big spot would happen, I'd be like, oh, there's a thing there. Like, I didn't know there was a table that Gonzalez was going to go through. I didn't know there was a ladder that Knox was going to land on. They were just there. I mean, we saw at WrestleMania this past weekend that with enough energy and enough enthusiasm, the performers can disguise the fact that there's nobody in that arena. And good gosh boy, gee whiz, oh howdy, did they do that here. In the end, Shirai pushes Candice off the ladder into another ladder. She takes the briefcase for some reason, and she's going to face Charlotte coming up soon, just like I hoped she would. So yeah, the match is obviously an up, but I also want to give another up, and indeed this week's Yellow Jacket, to Io Shirai. Even in a match that worked as well as this did, in the midst of a division that is flourishing as much as this is, all for a belt that is as hotly contested right now as this is, I still think she is the best thing NXT have got. Full stop. Her contributions to this ladder match were absolutely exceptional. Her poise, her timing, how safe she is in everything she does. She was head and shoulders above everybody else. Like we saw with the Mia Yim and the Raquel Gonzalez spot on the table, just how fine the margins are for all of this, and that she was inch perfect in everything she did. Like, it was genuine, sit back, keep replaying all her moments when I was watching this. It was like, oh, Io's so good. And if you cast your minds back last week, I said this. I want to just put this little seed in your head, all right? In a parallel universe, not that dissimilar to ours, right after WrestleMania, we get Charlotte versus Io Shirai. I want to live in that one. That's the one I want to live in. I know, right? It was Earth all along, etc., etc. It is nice to be right, but it's more nice to be right when you're not expecting to be right. So, get in. All right, I'll hold my hands up here. I had completely forgotten that Finn Balor versus Walter was a thing. And you know what? Initially, I watched this and I was like, oh, is that it? We're just going to get some highlights from an NXT UK show and then a bit of a rehash of some of the promo packages instead of the match itself. Oh, what a bit of a downer. But then, do you know what? Pulled my head out from my arse for a couple of seconds and thought, nah, this is good. Don't get me wrong, it's a total downer that this would have been an absolute banger. Easily the UK Championship's most high-profile match all over WrestleMania weekend. And what we got instead was Finn Balor talking into his camera phone. That is a downer, but the thing is, he's not wrong. This will all pass, and when it does, there's so many awesome storylines that are going to get picked up again. It's really easy to focus on what's getting forgotten and what's getting lost while everything's going on, but to have Finn Balor, of all people, remind us that good things will come back sooner or later was just... I'm watching wrestling as a distraction from all of this, and while it is impossible to get away from the fact it has changed, just having somebody go, look man, it's gonna be alright, like eventually all this will be finished and then I'll wrestle Walter. I was like, yeah, you know what? It will be alright and you will wrestle Walter, so I'm giving that an up. Right, so I know that I'm not really hot on the whole Adam Cole Velveteen Dream thing. I know that I've made my point about that and I'm not gonna go on about it again, but this is the NXT Championship, man. The NXT Championship. And yet again, all we got was Adam Cole Skyping in from poolside. And the thing is, right, for months and months and months and months and months, we thought the NXT Championship was going to have such a huge role to play at WrestleMania. Will he be wrestling? Will he be wrestling Ciampa? Will he be wrestling Gargano? Will he be wrestling Balor? Oh my God, will Roderick Strong turn on him? Will it just be everybody in this one big match? Will it be on WrestleMania itself? Or will it be the crown in the jewel of the whatever that sort of works over TakeOver? It was so exciting. It was so exciting, and look where it is now. The possibilities for it were both endless and endlessly arousing, and now it just feels like such an afterthought on the whole show. Like, right, okay, imagine that first week when they did the Velveteen Dream twist where he wanted Cole all along, and I was like, wow, that's really underwhelming and rubbish. I can't see that being good. Imagine if a time traveler had warped into my living room and said, don't worry, Adam, while you might not be too hot on it now, in just 3 short weeks, nothing will have happened and he'll be doing stuff from poolside and Velveteen Dream will have Bobby Fish's scalp under his belt. I'd have smacked him in the face. So look, as I said at the start, I can no longer just give them a, well, under the circumstances, I guess it's all they can do, pass in the midst of all this. If they can't get Adam Cole on the show, if they can't put together an NXT Championship match, if they can't put together something entertaining for the top prize on this show, why are they doing the show? Down. And I'll tell you one thing that I'm really surprised and positive on, because the more I think about it, the more terrible it is, and yet I still think it's a positive thing. The Bivin boys, like, somehow, with everything that's going on, they're still actually putting together a very by-the-numbers, like, program for a new tag team. It's not good and it's not entertaining, but it's at least working properly. Like, just with everything else that's having its wheels spun at the minute, and 1 week it's on television and it's on for 2 or 3 weeks after that, they've done a relatively good job with this. Like, week 1, it's a mysterious tag team, they're beating on Matt Riddle. Week 2, your man Bivens backstage going, yeah, this is who these guys are, and I understood more. And now week 3, it was an admittedly far too long, far too laborious beatdown match, which, if nothing else, did establish them as a dominant monster tag team. It, like I say, wasn't good, but at least doing it right. Shout outs to Everrise, by the way, for coming out of social distancing purely to do like a 10-minute match. It's a squash match that lasted 10 minutes. Like, normally you get some offense in on that, but no, they got the square root of nothing in this. I think that's the actual maths. See, this is kind of the problem with the binary scale of ups and downs, right? I have a big slider that's bad at one end and good at the other, and I have to work out whereabouts, what side of the line does the thing fall, and give it that award. And everything about the Bivin Boys has been 5.1 out of 10. Like, just that much better than it is terrible. So they're getting it up. Why not, eh? Right, so next up we had our main event of the evening. Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano 8 or whatever it is at this stage. And it's the wrestling match the whole world is talking about. None of them are saying anything nice. And I feel bad about all of this because I've sat on this sofa, haven't I, over the last couple of weeks and said, do you know what? I don't think this match is a good idea and I don't get why they need to do it. I don't really know why it's happening, but hey, haven't they just got me roped back into this story? That video package we got with the whole little mini documentary, I was really high on it after that. I really was. I thought, I don't understand it, but I trust them. I trust the process. I trust creative. I'm sure they're doing this because they've got a great little story to tell. One final beat. They got me in with the wordplay and oh my God. Oh wow, this sucked. Right. Before I get into all the reasons why it sucked, I'm just going to say this was another cinematic pro wrestling match, and as we saw over WrestleMania weekend, it's great that WWE are now leaning into doing these, thinking of new ways to produce these matches, and I liked the match the way it was put together. I liked the dark feel of it. I liked the fact it was in this gym and they got on the thing, and even though there was a weird buzz noise, I liked the fact they used a drone shot in it. I liked like part of the production of this, and I'm glad that they did it like this, so I'm gonna give that an up. Like this, the layout of it, I guess, but God, I'm really trying hard here just not to be really down on this. I liked some of the ways it was put together. Not the fact it was 40 minutes long or anything else about it, but that. Okay. So now we know why this match didn't need to happen, don't we? Because it seemed quite confusing at the start. We didn't really understand what the point in doing this again was. And now we know why, because there's no new part to this story whatsoever. They just wanted to rehash all the beats of the old one. And the reason we know they just wanted to rehash all the beats of the old one was because they kept literally telling us all the beats of the old one. The best thing by a mile about the Firefly Funhouse was the fact that they gave the audience the credit to not have to spell everything out to them. Like when John Cena comes out as the NWO Hogan, that's quite confusing, but Bray Wyatt didn't like break character and go, hey kids, the reason we're doing this is because John Cena could have revived his career by turning heel as he got older, just like Hulk Hogan did, so let's play that out and see how it goes. They trusted you to get that. They trusted you to understand the point they were making. But in this match, they have to tell you all the stuff. Like when the referee goes, Johnny, don't you know he's got a bad neck? And Johnny Gargano goes, yeah, I know he's got a bad neck. They're telling you that Ciampa has a bad neck because he was injured for ages with his neck was all messed up. So they're letting you know that's what's happening. Because you don't remember that. It was like, what? A couple of months ago. You're an idiot. Apparently, and I genuinely sat here on this sofa, watched that and went, I know. And they just couldn't help themselves. They yelled and they spoke every single part of this story that's taken them to this part, which we know because we watched the show and they don't need to. They did the hand spot again. Like, that only worked once. That literally only worked once at that unsanctioned match. It was brilliant. You don't need to do it again. It was so... This is one of the worst things either man has ever done, ever. So I'm going to give the content of this match a down. However, I will say I actually did quite like the Candice thing at the end. I liked the whole turn and not a turn, even though she's turning heel in the process. I thought that was a good ending. The vast majority of the makeup of this match, that gets a down. The ending doesn't quite salvage itself enough to get an up, but it was at least one bright spot. So that gets it down. And you know what else gets it down? The length of it. I'm not even joking here. I quite liked the finish. I quite liked some of the action. And if they just crammed all that in to about 15 minutes, it would have worked, you know. They would have gotten away with this. It would have been brutal. It would have been violent. It would have done just enough. But they didn't, did they? They gave us 43 minutes. 43 minutes. Do you know what you can do with 40. It's an entire episode of Star Trek The Next Generation when you cut the adverts out. 43 minutes. They wrestled in the ring, then got out, got on top of a truck, then came back in, did a table spot, then got back in the ring. That was it. In 43 minutes. This is a story that has gone on far too long as it is, and to top it all off, they put together a match that went on far too long. Far too long. Down. And the thing is, you all told me, didn't you? I was trying to be positive about this. I thought, hey, it might be really good. Give them a chance. And week by week, it actually felt pretty entertaining. But no, this was overlong and self-indulgent and painfully devoid of any real story in there. Like, it was just literally reminding you the story that's already come, and they threw in like a cheap twist at the end, which, even though I did enjoy it, doesn't really do anything. And now we've had this feud go on forever, and in allegedly the final match, the heel has won, and you can't really leave that there, can you? Not forever. They're gonna have to go back to this now, and I just And that brings me to my last down of this week, because I know fine well why this was 43 minutes long, and I know fine well why the Biven boys got 10 minutes to do a 30-second squash match, and I know why we saw highlights from an episode of NXT UK that aired over a month ago, and I know why we got to see the best moments from the Women's Championship match at WrestleMania. I know why all this. I know why this is happening, because they're struggling to fill these shows with the content because of everything that's going on. I know why we haven't seen Adam Cole in the arena. I know why it's so difficult for them to put on good matches. I know why they've had to strip Jordan Devlin. I know why we've not seen Pete Dunne, because they should not be putting on more pro wrestling shows with everything that is going on. The only three people in the world, who seem to not think this is a problem is Dana White, Tony Khan, and Vince McMahon, right? This channel lives and breathes on new pro wrestling coverage. We need to have things to talk about. It is our very lifeblood, and I am still sitting here saying to anybody running a pro wrestling show who is watching this, stop putting them on. Please, there's just no need for it anymore. They're wearing so thin. The benefit of the doubt with them all has gone. The entertainment levels are dropping drastically. You're only hurting your own product and putting people's lives in danger as you're doing it. Stop. So there you have it. That was NXT this week, and a slide back into. Am I going grey a bit? Yeah, I'm going grey a bit. I wonder what could be doing that. Anyway, let us know what you made of NXT this week in the comments below. Of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you have joined us for the premiere this week live on WhatCulture Wrestling. And thank you to each and every one of you. I'm genuinely enjoying doing this, and I never ever thought I would genuinely enjoy anything, because that's just how my life's been. Anyway, congratulations, happy anniversary to me, because tomorrow is 4 weeks in self-isolation. Can you tell? You can catch me on Twitter at Adam Clery, Clery, the entire WhatCulture Wrestling family at WhatCulture WWE. Hey, why not follow our editor Chris as well at EditChrisEdit, and we will all see you very soon.